Hi everyone, welcome back to the Strawberry Loli channel. This is your friendly neighborhood Slytherin Ren. So I asked you guys in a recent community post which video you would like to see next from me, and as I expected, this one won by a landslide. So thank you to everyone who voted, by the way. It really does help me gauge what kind of content to prioritize because I'll be honest, it's kind of hard, almost impossible to tell these days what type of content is going to be popular. Sometimes I upload stuff and it gets thousands of views within minutes, and sometimes I slave away on a 30-second clip for hours upon end, maybe even days, and it completely tanks. So anyway, here it is, my entire eyeshadow palette collection as of right now, September 2022. Grab a snack and a drink because we are in for a long ride. In this video, I'm going to be showing strictly eyeshadow palettes only. That means 2 or more shadows grouped together in some sort of pre-made cohesive packaging. No eyeshadow singles or anything like that, and no doubles either, which I do have a few of actually. Before we get started, I want you to indulge me in a little game, if you will, okay? If it's not too much trouble, I'd love if you could pause the video and type in your guess on how many eyeshadow palettes do you think I own in total. I'll give you a hint, it was actually less than I expected. And yeah, that's all I can really say without giving too much away. So on second thought, maybe that wasn't such a helpful hint. Irregardless, okay, enough chit chat. Let's just dive right in. So we're going in alphabetical order by brand name. First, we have this really random Iggy Azalea collaboration palette from BH Cosmetics. I found this at Marshall's when I was visiting the States back in March of this year, and the only reason why I got it is because my mom was paying for everything. I haven't even swatched it yet, and to be honest, I have no idea what to do with it because I'm sure A, no one in their life has ever wondered about or wanted a review on this palette, and then B, I feel guilty if I sell it or something because my mom bought it for me, even though I am 120% sure she doesn't even remember, so I'm kind of stuck. Okay, there are quite a lot of C's, starting off with Canmake. I have 2 palettes from the Silky Souffle Eyes line and 2 from the Perfect Stylist Eyes line. The latter 2 were handed down to me by Meg. All of Canmake's eyeshadow formulations are trash, okay, just across the board. Let's just get that out there. It's actually offensive because I just don't understand why Canmake manages to produce smash hits in literally every other category of makeup, gel liners, blush products, base products, even lip products, which I am not the biggest fan of Canmake lip stuff, but I admit they do have some truly quality products for the price. But for some reason, it's just the eyeshadows that are total crap over and over again, no matter what new formulation or line they bring out. You can try to argue that it's for amateurs who just want very easy, barely there makeup looks, but even so, those people can still just go to Cezanne or some other budget drugstore brand, you know? Like, it's just Canmake's shadows that are not even on par with other regular Japanese drugstore brands. I don't get it. And I just want people across the world to stop wasting our collective coin on Canmake eyeshadows, hoping that this time it'll be different. No, it's not different. It's never going to be different. Canmake deserves to get their eyeshadow making privileges taken away from them permanently, okay? End of story. I have all 3 of Cezanne's newest eyeshadow quads from the Beige tone shadow line. Nuts Beige, number 1, I really don't like. I might get rid of it. The other 2 are fine. I'll keep. Chifure. I completely forgot about this quad until I rounded up all my palettes for this video. This was a limited edition color variation, I think. Actually, it's not that bad. It's a cute little drugstore yellow moment. You know, it's better than Canmake, that's for sure. So I keep it around. I have a palette from Cipi's original as well as their renewal Dressy shadow line. Formulation-wise, both are amazing to me, very pigmented, rich color stories. I have to say I do prefer the old packaging though, just because it was more unique looking. You know, it set the brand apart from others in the drugstore. Now the new packaging just looks like any other generic K-Beauty square quad, which there's nothing wrong with per se, but it lacks that uniqueness that the old packaging had. This is the Clionadh Dragon Fruit collaboration palette with Emily Violet Marie. Very disappointed at how flimsy the packaging was. It broke practically immediately upon unboxing, and I think that's honestly probably the reason why I never reach for it, even though objectively speaking, these are very, very pretty shadows. I mean, it's the famous, Clionadh Duo and Trio Chromes, right? I've wanted to try those from this brand for so long and thought this was the perfect opportunity to try a bunch at a more affordable price than their singles, but unfortunately, the packaging issue just overshadowed everything. I could always depot them and put them in a nicer palette that actually closes properly, but ain't nobody got time for that. Colourpop is probably the brand that I own the most palettes from at the moment, surprisingly, but not so surprisingly because they release something new every hour. We'll start from the largest to the smallest. So we have the Bon Voyage palette from the BT21 collaboration that I just reviewed. I spent forever on that video, by the way, like I'm talking almost a week straight of filming and editing, B-roll taking, but of course that video got like no views because no one is even checking for that collaboration anymore. Everyone's on to the next, right? Which I can't exactly blame people for, but yeah, anyway. Then we have two of the 9 pans. The Secret Admirer palette is one of my favorite staple pink palettes ever. You can get both natural and pink looks from this one. The Smoke Show palette I haven't played around with as much, but I like the idea of it as just a pure like black to white gradient type of palette. The Opal of My Eye collection 9 pans, the blue and purple one is definitely a lot better than the orangey coral one. I did pick up the Clay It Cool palette just because I am a fan of this rich terracotta color story in general, but the palette itself seemed to not generate a lot of buzz, so I never bothered to really review it properly. Then I have 7 of the 12 astrology mini quads. I actually really enjoyed most of these. I think they have great creative color combos with some very bright jewel tones thrown in there, which I love. This iridescent mossy green color from the Never Tore Us Apart palette is one of the most unique shadows I've ever seen, hands down. It has such a pretty shift. And last but not least, the colorful mini quads from the Hello Kitty Tropical Escape collection. These are just so stinking cute. This blue one has like the most amazing blue shades for my skin's undertones in particular. My dear friend Meg handed these down to me. These are 3 of the M Cosmetics Divine Skies eyeshadow palettes. I'll admit they do look pretty nice in person, and thank you to Meg for sending them my way. But I don't know, something about Michelle Phan turns me off these days. Like, I love and support her from afar, I'm always gonna support my fellow Asian girlies doing their thing out here, but I don't know, Michelle Phan is just doing some weird stuff lately that makes me really side-eye her. I'm sorry, I won't get into it, but yeah, you can look that situation up if you want on your own. At Vos, this is a semi-department store mineral makeup brand here in Japan. I really do like the color stories, but after about 2 palettes, I decided it was too expensive for me to try and collect stuff from Edvos. This is the one singular XL palette I own at the moment, actually. I haven't reached for it in a while, although I think the colors are really pretty. Give Me Glow Cosmetics, again, I only own 1 palette from this brand. I call this the Charlie Brown palette in my head because the colors just remind me of Charlie Brown. The pigment is blinding, especially from the metallic shadows, and the large pans are really satisfying to dip into. This one is self-explanatory, okay? Look at the name of this channel, hello. But even that aside, I really do like this Strawberry Feels palette. Y'all know I love me a fuchsia Barbie hot pink moment. I don't think I'll ever get sick of pink eyeshadow, period. This is honestly the exact palette that I would release if I had my own makeup brand. Again, it might surprise you to learn that I only own a handful of Kate palettes at this point in time, most recently the Yoku collection quads, which actually feature shades from their larger range of eyeshadow singles, which I was meaning to get more of those singles for the longest time, but then never got around to it. Kate is coming out with another similar, like, art-themed collection very soon, which I honestly could do with or without. Like, I wouldn't mind owning it for collector's purposes, but then at the same time, I feel like the color story is very boring and redundant, so I might not. I don't know, we'll see. I might just get one of the eyeliner pens and call it a day. Lethal Cosmetics, again, I only own one palette from them at this moment, and that would be the One Up arcade themed eyeshadow palette. The concept is super fun, and of course, we all know Lethal Cosmetics has a great formulation. Believe it or not, this is actually not my favorite colorful palette, though. We will get to that one later. Can you guess what it is right now? MAC is still out here in these streets, okay? She refuses to give up her throne. I currently own 2 of the 4 Honor of Kings collaboration palettes. One of them I gave to Salty Ice Prince, who is one of my longtime internet friends, because I didn't like the guy in the ponytail on the cover, but she likes guys with ponytails, so you know it was the perfect situation for me to hand that off to her. And speaking of Salty Ice Prince, this is actually a palette that she gifted me at one point. I think it was for Christmas, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is very aptly named for fall, I believe. It just makes me think of pumpkin spice lattes and Ugg boots. Okay, so here we are. The Solmane 2 palette from Odin's Eye is, I dare say, my favorite colorful palette of the year. I think it's hard to rank this and the BT21 Bon Voyage palette because I really love both of them, but they offer like different types of colorfulness in my opinion. Bon Voyage is more of a bright, fun, traditional rainbow palette, while Solmane 2 is just, it's like drenched in Technicolor. I don't even know how to explain it. It has the perfect mix of both pastel and deeper jewel-toned shades, and they all look amazing against my skin tone, okay? That's what it really comes down to. Like every single shade in that palette just pops against my skin, and it looks exactly the way that I envision colorful eyeshadow to look on me. So yeah, Solmane 2 has to be my personal #1 colorful palette, with Bon Voyage as a close second. And then of course, in terms of Odin's Eye, the brand, I would say Solmane 2 is #1 and Judy's Red Dragon palette is #2. Sorry if that's confusing. The Red Dragon is what I love for more everyday neutrals, but still so rich and drenched in color, as is typical of Odin's Eye's formulation, even though they're neutral colors. And shout out to Judy for getting me to try out this brand in the first place. I got this glitter duo randomly one day because it was on sale. It's perfectly fine, but I never use it. At one point, I think I wanted to do an entire video dedicated to the Rimmel Royal Vintage Eyes line, and then I was like, forget it, it's too much work. As you can see, this navy blue one I haven't even touched because I realized after I bought it that I hate this navy color scheme. It looks so muddy and outdated. I don't know why I bought it. RMK, the original Obsession. Here are the 3 palettes that I own from their Rosewood Daydream collection. I love the deep reds and terracottas from this collection. I think RMK executes those tones in particular really well, if not the best, out of all the brands that I've tried. And this yellow quad is also really special and unique. Then we had the iconic Ukiyo Modern palettes, which admittedly did not have the easiest formula to work with. It's like straight up clay. I don't know, I still don't really understand it to this day, but nevertheless, still great as collector's pieces, and in my opinion, the most visually stunning collection that RMK has ever released to date. This one I didn't even touch at all. I purchased this mini quad very recently from their permanent basic 4 Eyes eyeshadow line because I thought the packaging was really compact and innovative, and I also wanted to focus more on reviewing permanently available items as opposed to just exclusive limited edition all the time. Oh, where do we start with Shu Uemura? You know, I have come to accept and realize that I'm just not that crazy about Shu Uemura's color selections more often than not, especially for the limited edition collaborations that they're doing lately. I feel like it's just way too many bland browns and cool tone shades for my taste, or maybe I'm the dumb one and choosing packaging over everything else. The only palette of the three I own right now that I can honestly say I truly like and consider a go-to color story for me is the nude punk one. And yes, I am going through an internal struggle right now as we speak about whether or not I should buy the new Sailor Moon palette collaboration. Let's not talk about it anymore. Suku, this one I got as a birthday present this year from my friend Meg. Thank you again, Meg. My first ever Suku palette. This is a throwback palette, okay? If you were there when I uploaded my first dedicated review video to this palette, then you are a true OG. Unleashia, I have one of their Tap Me Duo palettes. The top eyeshadow shade is not that great in my opinion. I used it more for blush actually, even though it's technically an eyeshadow because it's not that pigmented, so it just lends itself better to blush in my opinion. Mainly, I just keep this little duo around for the glitter pan on the bottom because it's just so easy to dip into that whenever I need to amp up my look. It's a beige based glitter, so it matches literally any eye look, and yeah, the pan is nice and large, which makes it easy to pick up product from. I definitely swore up and down at one point that I would never purchase or review another You Are Glam eyeshadow palette in my life, and yet here we are. My curiosity got the better of me, okay, because look, clearly this is kind of a copy of that new, well, I guess it's not so new anymore, but one of the more recent Too Faced neutral palettes. I forget the exact name. I don't know, I was just intrigued by the pressed glitter shade in the top left corner, which actually looks like it could be promising, right? Am I right? And since it's You Are Glam, even if it's only like one shade works out of the entire palette, it's still worth it for 100 yen, you know? This is a one-off collaboration that Vavi Mello did with a formal idol here named Nikki Sakino. Truthfully, I haven't touched this palette in years, but I don't know, something about it is just very visually appealing to me, and I like the thinness of the actual compact, so I keep it around. Does anyone know what happened to Vavi Mello as a brand, by the way? Are they still around? I feel like they completely disappeared in Japan, at least. Like, no one is checking for them after all the other K-beauty giants like Rom and Etude House have taken over the market. Long story short, I ordered a bunch of things from the XX Revolution and Matrix collection that they had last year, but half my order never arrived. And when I told XX Revolution customer service about this, they actually refunded me for my entire order, which is kind of cool. I mean, no complaints because it meant that the items that did arrive I got for free essentially, but by the time everything was settled, the moment was over, and that's why I was never really motivated to play around with this palette. This is the only ZC palette that I own. I've only used it once, and although it looked really vibrant and true to the colors in the pan on my lids, I remember my eyes itched so badly that entire day. I don't know if it's entirely the eyeshadow's fault, but because of that experience, I've been kind of subconsciously scared to use this palette or anything else from this brand ever since, even though it is so cute. Congratulations, you made it to the end of this video. Here is your consolation prize, Maxine. Yeah, so in total, I have exactly 70 palettes in my collection right now. Did that match up at all to your expectations? Did you expect higher or lower? I personally estimated a lot higher at first. I thought it would be closer to 100, maybe not quite passing the 100 palette mark, but yeah, I guess I do declutter quite often, and I have no problem giving away or selling off palettes that I no longer want on Mercari, so that could also account for the lower than expected number. Anyway, there you have it. That is my eyeshadow palette inventory for 2022. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!